Hi everybody, Gabby here with another spotlight on our World's 2016 players. Today I'm here with Justin Carris, aka Azael VGC. I think I said that right.
Azazel.
Okay, I'm gonna get that wrong like 5 more times, and I apologize for that. But, Justin, he had an amazing run at Worlds. He fought his way through day 1, did amazing day 2, and we're going to have a battle to highlight his team and hear some of his stories. So, if it's all right with you, Justin, let's get started.
Yeah, so Worlds was a really fun experience. Outside of the fact that, San Francisco wasn't terribly entertaining, but in its own right, I had a bad time with the city. It was a little chilly. I was coming from 105 degrees in Jersey to very chilly in San Francisco, so it was cold. And but outside of that, as I said, the actual tournament run was really fun, and I made a lot of friends. I had a really fun experience with just the battling itself and the people I was playing against who were the top players in the world. I played the Korean national champion, the Italy national champion, the Australian national champion. I played some tough competition, and I had some really I had some of the most thought-intensive matches I've ever played. I want to say in anything. I played ping pong with really smart people. I played basketball with really smart people, chess, board games, tons of stuff. And I played Hearthstone and everything else. But when I was at the World Championships for Pokemon, and I was playing against all these players from around the world that knew the game at a level above what I'm used to in terms of competition, and every single turn was just there was so much pressure behind it. There was so much I want to say it was a really cerebral experience, and my head hurt both after day 1 and day 2. I needed ibuprofen, and it was just some really as I said, it was a really fun experience, and I had a lot of fun with it. And the people.
Awesome. Well, I gotta say, I don't think I've seen any teams with Infernape on them yet. Could you tell me a little bit more about the team that you're running and how it plays?
So it's kind of similar to Big Six in that you want to use Xerneas and Fake Out to just kind of bully your way through teams, but I really focus more on the end game and the Bronzong Kyogre. I want to say it's not really an archetype. It's kind of just the combination of the two is so powerful against Xerneas and Groudon specifically that I would set up for the late game. So basically, you want to use the front two, whatever you choose, whether it's Salamence Xerneas, Amoonguss Xerneas, or Infernape Xerneas. I almost always lead Xerneas, not necessarily as a sweeper, but as a hole puncher, and then I'll let it go down. And then once it goes down, it makes my end game a lot easier. And a lot of people don't it's kind of a bait. I bait them into knocking out my Xerneas and Pokemon next to it, and then I have a free Kyogre Bronzong sweep.
Nice. Well, I know that you had some opportunities to showcase your team on stream, both for day 1 and day 2. But were there any matches off stream that you felt really showcased, the way your team was set up, how it plays really well, that you didn't really get to share with the world?
There was a match, I want to say, against Alejandro Jimenez, who was known as Legacy. He's just such a good battler, and he was using Big Cresselia, Big Six with Cresselia, and the match was so skill intensive, switch intensive. I kept baiting him with my Kyogre and Bronzong. One of the things I like about the team is it's one of the few teams I've actually been able to use in the format that has defensive capabilities. And I can make good switches, solid switches between Kyogre, Bronzong, Amoonguss, and Salamence that I wouldn't be able to do with other variants with stuff like Groudon, because even though Groudon's bulky, I find it always taking tons of damage. And especially super effective damage. I feel like it doesn't handle well with HP Water and Kyogre and everything. So when I played against Legacy, I kept having to switch between Bronzong and Kyogre, and I had to it was really are you gonna fire punch this Kyogre? Because if you don't, I win. So I kept switching back into my Bronzong with Kyogre, and it happened all 3 games where he was the one player I really felt didn't fall for the bait, like where I'm trying to set up my end game. So I really just, as I said, like I felt like he was smart about like the way he played, and I'm picking my moves, so I'm struggling here.
No worries. If you need to take a moment to think, I totally understand. It's hard to do the whole like talking and playing thing.
Yeah, it's all right, but and it literally came down to the last turn. I had to make one of the hardest reads I've ever made in my life, and I just felt like the team itself allowed me to do that, and I was happy with it. So, like, that's kind of where I felt like the team got highlighted best. As I said, like, I had to make really smart switches. I had to make good plays, and it was just a really fun experience. So, like, when I played against him in the last game, as I said, like, it came out of the last turn, he had a Xerneas and his Groudon in, and I had just brought in my Kyogre, so there's no Sun Up, and I had Bronzong out, but he had like a 40% health Xerneas and a Kangaskhan in the back, a full health Kangaskhan, and I was like, all right, game one, we were pretty much in the same situation, and he dazzled. This turn, if he doesn't Moonblast and switch to Kangaskhan, he's gonna lose. So I just Water Spouted and Trick Roomed, and it worked. He Moonblasted and switched to Kangaskhan. I picked up the double knockout and got Trick Room up and ended up winning. And it, like, first of all, that was the hardest read I've ever had to make in my life, and it worked. But second of all, he shook his head and he was like, that was so risky. And I was like, but I knew that's what I had to do. So I do really think that the team allows for stuff like that. But I like, also in the same sense, like, I do feel like you have to play it right, otherwise you're going to be in a bad situation. Like, more often than not, if you're not playing it right, you're going to be in like a really bad situation. It has a lot of uphill battles.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say, like, Kyogre or Xerneas as a core is, I mean, it was sort of unusual going into Worlds. What about the pre-Worlds metagame led you to choosing this as your primary form of offense on this team?
The, like, MPA, I want to say. When I was in MPA, I had to play Hibiki, and going up against Hibiki, I was so worried about Rayogre and Big Six at the same time. So what I did was I theoried, what can work against both Big Six and Rayogre, and the idea was like, well, Xerneas is good against Rayogre, and Kyogre is good against Big Six if you use it properly. So I ended up using Kyogre and Xerneas there, and when I realized what it was capable of, like back in March, I just never dropped it. I was like, I will die by this. I will live by it, and I will die by it. And it's just really fun. It felt like exactly what fit me.
Yeah, I think finding a team that fits your playstyle is probably like one of the most important things going into Worlds. Because then you're more comfortable with it. You know the plays that you have to make. It just kind of clicks with you mentally.
All right.
Ah, darn.
Yeah. Are you min speed or?
I was. I don't know if I have the right Groudon or not, because one of the moves I have is not what I was expecting. So.
Yeah. What's it called? In day one, the funny thing was I was in that exact situation we were literally just in, like Pokemon for Pokemon, and I did the exact same play. I had Trick Room up, everything was going well, and I didn't win the speed tie as what I thought, but it happened the second time, and I was like, wait a minute, that might not be a speed tie, and I checked, and my Kyogre had max IVs quiet, so I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
It was pretty depressing.
Yeah, I've tried so many different versions of primals at this point. Like, I should be smart and nickname them properly on my cart, but at this point, I've given up on ever bringing the proper thing to play. And I will admit, I did this mostly to figure out if you were Levitate or not, so.
Oh, okay, yeah. Levitate, definitely. There's a play that I used to use against certain Groudon teams, where what I would do is you skill swap your Kyogre as the Groudon comes in. The Groudon will come in the next turn, and then what you do is you skill swap the Groudon. And even if your Bronzong goes down, this is back when I had Origin Pulse, actually. Even if the Groudon goes down, what it does is it leaves your Kyogre with Levitate, and the rain is still up.
That's awesome.
So it was like an auto win, and that was like, so that's why basically, I mean, that's the only reason I guess I have Levitate. Heat Proof, I mean, I don't know, I like Levitate also so I can switch in my Kyogre at times.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I've seen more heat-proof Bronzong as of late, and I think that's a play that a lot of people made going into Worlds. I don't really know if it paid off for anybody, though. Just because I personally like Levitate better because it does allow you to switch in, especially when you're playing the Groudon mirror, but then you have to start worrying about Fire Punch, so sometimes it doesn't really pay off.
Yeah, Heat Proof is cool on big B teams just because I feel like you can't protect Bronzong. And actually, that's one of the reasons that I use Kyogre over Groudon. Like, essentially, this is a big 6 team. Just with Kyogre. Like, I just don't like Kyogre. I don't like Groudon because of, like, the defensive thing, as I said. It's just HP Water is the most annoying thing.
Oh, definitely.
Positioning-wise, like, I can't protect my Bronzong. And, like, I always use Bronzong against Xerneas. So, like, when you're playing against more Groudon Xerneas, you want your Bronzong alive. So even with Heat Proof, it still takes a ton from Fire type moves. And I felt like Kyogre's just better at protecting it.
Definitely. When you get a chance, I don't want to interrupt your thought process during team preview, but I'd be curious to hear some of your thoughts behind including Infernape on the team and what it sort of accomplishes. Other than being a fast fake out, it gets close combat. I imagine you have some sort of fire type move on there. I forgot to hit the confirm button. There we go.
Alright, so my boy Harambe, the Infernape, is he was actually probably the most useful tool I had all throughout Worlds. Nobody really knew how to play against it. If they didn't have faster fake out than me, I almost always won because I could just straight up lead Infernape Xerneas. And I always felt like I was in control. So like Infernape has Quick Guard, it has Overheat and Close Combat. Like I could KO Kangaskhan with Close Combat most of the time. I could KO Ferrothorn in the late game if I needed to. Like I had a lot of pressure against Bronzongs that weren't heat proof. And I just had like really solid like chip damage. Like Infernape actually hits a lot harder. Like when I played against Javier Senorena, who was the Italy Nats champion, I played him round 1 of day 2. He had a Xerneas at 65%, and he had knocked my Infernape down to Sash, and it got Blaze. So the Overheat knocked out the Xerneas,
oh, wow.
And it was like a bulky Xerneas, but with Blaze it knocked it out.
That's awesome. I didn't even think of the combo of using Focus Sash and Blaze. Honestly, that's really cool.
It's like. It was fun. I had a good time with it. I want to say that it was something that surprised me. Like as I said, I didn't think it would be that good, and Infernape was the Pokemon that rotated the most on the team. So like, it was complex. The Quick Guard was really useful too against stuff like Thundurus. I only ran into like 3 Thundurus, but every single time, like, I was able to like really utilize Quick Guard to its fullest.
Oh, definitely, I can imagine. When you mentioned that Infernape was kind of the slot that rotated out the most, how long did you spend building this team for Worlds?
5 months or 4 months, 4.5 months.
Oh wow!
So I think I had put about like maybe 50 to 100 battles on ladder with it. Like yeah, it was a chore. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of battles. I practiced with like Talonflame over Infernape. I had Kangaskhan over Infernape. I had Scrafty, Weavile, like everything. Like I think I had Medicham and Rotom Heat. But I basically loved the core. I originally had Smeargle over Amoonguss, so that made my choices defensively a lot different. So like I had Talonflame more because I struggled against Kyogre than more like I didn't really care for the offense or the Tailwind. And so I was running weird Talonflames. Like I had Will-O-Wisp, Brave Bird, Taunt. It was funny. Like I enjoyed most of the Pokemon, but Infernape always felt like the homie.
Did you run a version of this team at Nats?
No, I didn't go to Nats.
Oh, okay. I thought I didn't see you there, but I couldn't remember, so I figured I'd ask anyways.
Yeah, no, I ended up not going to Nationals. My friend ended up running the team there instead.
How did your friend do?
Daniel Stein ended up going, I think 3-5. He had a bad day. He lost. He won his first 2 matches, and then he got tilted by Wolf.
Oh, yeah.
And he ran into red card Heatran, and it kind of messed him up pretty bad.
Yeah, that. I could see a red card Heatran really messing with someone, especially since that honestly is something I wouldn't even think of having in this metagame.
Yeah, it can be complicated at times.
Definitely.
And I think I made a misplay. This is definitely gonna not work, but I did like the another thing is like I gave him an outdated model of the team. Like he had the Smeargle version, he had Life Orb Infernape, and he had Origin Pulse, Thunder, Ice Beam. So like he kept losing to Wide Guard variants of Smeargle, and like he lost. I think he actually lost to Wolf and Leonard Kraft, who got top 8 like back to back.
Oh, that's a rough schedule.
Yeah, so it's not easy to run the gauntlet with those guys. Ah, yes. Okay. I think I can win this.
Yeah, I almost went for the skill swap, but then I wasn't really thinking.
Yeah, at first I was like, I think I need to go for Rage Powder here. And then I was like, wait, no. Let's check the item first. So, it's like, another like facet of the team is, it's like, I refer to it as the Big Six Slayer. Like, I shouldn't lose to any variant of Big Six unless it has an Amoonguss. And I did end up losing to an Amoonguss, but that's pretty much all I really lost to. What I really liked about the Amoonguss and the Infernape is I could use them interchangeably against Cresselia. So if they have a big Bronzong variant, I just go for I just simply go for a my own Bronzong, and then I can use Kyogre, Bronzong in the late game. I'll lead Infernape, Xerneas. But if they have Cresselia with like slow Cresselia with skill swap, it's an issue because it'll skill swap after my Bronzong. I'll just save Amoonguss for the end game. So if they get up Trick Room, I can skill swap away. I can Rage Powder away their skill swap, or I can just Spore them.
Yeah, no, Amoonguss is a really good tech, I think, especially paired with Xerneas and with Kyogre. Because I think most of the things in the metagame right now that can destroy Amoonguss are handled by Kyogre. I mean, Groudon dies to anything that's wet. Salamence is taken down by any Ice Beam. They make a really good pair.
Yeah, Amoonguss is fun too because like you can lead Amoonguss Kyogre into anything that doesn't have a Groudon. So like if they have, or like Infernape Kyogre. So like Kyogre is actually pretty weak to opposing Kyogre, like surprisingly enough. So what I would do is like you could lead, as I said, Amoonguss Kyogre and just Spout, or you lead Infernape and just fake out Spout.
Yeah.
And I used to have Tailwind on the team so that way I could just mess up anything that didn't have a Groudon, but it eventually it got a little bit outdated.
Yeah, well, I think that Spore there might have sealed the game in your favor. I can't really see any way I can get out of this.
Yeah, Amoonguss is a really like tough matchup for a lot of Big Six teams as long as I'm not getting hit by fire moves.
Yeah, definitely. So since we're wrapping up, is there anything else you wanted to mention that we haven't really had a chance to talk about yet?
I wanted to say, like, I wanted to throw some shout outs. Like, I think that's the one mistake I made at Worlds, really, was like when I ended up getting an interview after top 16. Like, I didn't get to shout out my friends. Big shout outs to the Jersey squad, Chris Danzo, Danny Hemchan, and Daniel Stein. They've been there through everything, absolutely everything. And they've hugged me when I scrubbed out of regionals. They've been there to go buy steak dinners after PC wins, and they're, labbing with me every single night. So big shout out to them. Like, they made me the player I am, and they motivated me, really, especially Chris, to become a better player and really prove myself. And, I guess the shout out is important to me too, but also, like, I really think that people need to get into commentary, like, so badly. It just allows you to look at the game from a different perspective than you're used to, really. And when you have to think so many turns ahead, it's just like it improves your ability to think quicker and, like, smarter. So you're not just mindlessly clicking buttons and focusing on the turn at hand. Like, commentary allows you to think what's going to happen positionally 2 turns from now. And to make yourself look like a good commentator, you want to be, smart about that, and to be a good player. Like, I think it'll translate over to your play as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think my play's gotten a lot better since I've tried to focus on commentary. It's being able to see the game from different perspectives is always a huge help when, looking at the turn at hand, looking at the next couple turns, trying to figure out where your pieces lie and where you need to move to get there. But great games. I really enjoyed playing your team. I think it's really unique, and you had an amazing Worlds run, and I know I already said this already, but congratulations, man. That was awesome.
Thank you. It was a really unreal experience, and one of the things I guess I want to recommend is practice. Like, when I say I put 5,000 battles in, like I put them in, like, mark on the wall, like castaway status. Like, every single battle matters and counts. Like, every day that you spend putting in 20 to 30 matches, you're growing. And if you play smart, if you think smart, and you groom yourself to, not be afraid, to have the confidence in your team or any team, really, you'll reap what you sow. And I never felt like Pokemon was one of those, like, rewarding games, but I feel like after Worlds and after really grinding, like, it's one of the games that will reward you for hard work.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Justin. If you want to follow Justin on Twitter, please check him out at AzazelVGC. I believe I said that right this time.
Close.
Next time.
Azazel. It's like Blaze, like Azazel.
Azazel.
Yes.
All right.
It's fine.
All right, and thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back on Thursday with another Worlds interview. So, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for having me, Gabby. Take care.
Yeah, you too.